good afternoon, and welcome to the United Hour. I'm your host, Robert Wallace, and well, today was just one of those days. I don't know if it was a plus or if it was a minus. I don't know if I'm up or if I am down. I don't know. But we are here to discuss the game, discuss the coach, what is going on with this club, and all of the business, all of it. But I am here with Zahir and the ever absent President Chat, the ever absent President Chat, who never here, but shows up today to grace us with his presence. President Chat.
United Hour Trump.
Mm.
I'll take that title any day of the week, man.
Oh God, hey, no, but on all seriousness, thanks guys for coming through. And right, let's get right into this thing. Aston Villa no, Manchester no. Once again, Ten Hag has been able to save his job because we all thought that after Villa's display against Bayern Munich, I believe that was on Wednesday.
Mm.
That after our performance against Spurs and against Porto, that we would have gotten beat today. We would have gotten some real licks. But as I have realized, whenever Ten Hag's job is really on the line, whenever we are supposed to get really beat, we don't. It's always those weird games where we lose 4-0 and 3-0, but the games that we are supposed to be getting beaten, we somehow always pull out the performance. Now, I have to ask you guys, did today's performance save Ten Hag's job? I'll start with President Chan.
First and foremost, people, like, subscribe to the channel, you know what I mean? Weigh in during the conversation. As Robert rightfully said, coming into the week, it felt like if we got two losses on the board, it was definitely going to be curtains for Ten Hag. We lost against Porto, and if we lost against Aston Villa, and both of those were very possible before the game even played, right? Because this Porto team, for anybody who's been following Portuguese football, is running. So there was no thoughts like, yeah, well, it'll be hard. That's an easy game. No, that was never going to be an easy game if he was following Porto, right? And the thought was if we lost those two games, he's out. The thought was if he won the two games, he's in. He drew the two games. So where are we? I don't know. Right? I don't know. But the performance, especially in the game today, I think it's hard to see the club firing the coach. I think Ten Hag is safe over the international break. And the reason why people may be wondering, well, why these two particular games? Because if you want to fire your coach, this is the time you want to fire your coach. You have international break, so the assistant coach or whoever, all right, the standing coach is going to get 2 weeks or a week and a half to work with the players. So this is the kind of time that you would want to fire your coach, to give him some time with the new coach, time with the team. So we always knew that this was going to be a critical juncture. Do I think he's done enough to save his job? Yes. Robert also talked about us being able to pull, Ten Hag being able to pull rabbits out of the hat. I saw a lot of fight from Manchester United today. Aston Villa is an aggressor. You look at the physique of most of their players, is a physical team. And we didn't get out hustled today. As a matter of fact, we were the more aggressive team today. So that tells me, just like the game against City for the FA Cup final, that this team is still playing for the manager. When his back is against the wall, you play for the manager. Why did it have the mental lapses? Normally, that sees his back being put up against the wall. I don't know. I cannot answer that. But this team is still playing for the manager. So That in all, that in itself would also speak to the higher ups of the club to say, well, all right, players still on side, and despite the results, we saw a good performance today. I think that was it.
All right. Here, I mean, give me your thoughts on the game today.
I think it was a fair result,
Mm.
right? I To the end where we had that breakaway with Ganacho trying to square the ball across to Bruno. I mean, if he pulled off the pass, you bet on Bruno to score, and that would have probably been the win. But I noted the commentators saying that both teams today great phases of attacking plays. It's just that final cross or the finishing let down both teams. And Villa had some good chances as well today, where their finishing let them down. It just to me, as a Manchester United fan, as a fan for now, well, almost 30 years now, and this goes back to 1989 and the strike squad and Dwight York starting to play for same Aston Villa, which is when we all started to, myself, started to pay attention to the Premier League and would notice, of course, Manchester United and how they were playing, especially when Villa played against them. So that was the beginning of my interest in Manchester United, sort of the early-ish Fergie years, right? I can't see why we are still talking about a manager being under fire, about saving or not saving his job. Because in the post Ferguson era, look at the names that have come and gone, and nothing has changed in the overall success of the club. And every time we fire a manager, we are doing the same thing. We are simply setting things back. We are not advancing things forward. Right now, if you are telling me that this was season 3, starting exactly as how it has started so far, with the exact same results under a manager who, in his 2 previous seasons, won no trophies and finished outside the top 6 in both seasons, I'd say fine, something isn't working. But you have a manager, whether you rate the trophies that the club has won or not, the fact of the matter is, in the win column for the 4 previous seasons, we have trophy, checkmark, trophy, checkmark. Right? Europe, checkmark. We played a season in the Champions League. We are now back in the Europa League. Right? There is something there. Clearly, it does not always translate into what the players give on the field, because I cannot understand how 11 so called highly paid professionals go 2-0 up within half an hour against a Porto team and then contrive to find ourselves 3-2 down and scrape it to draw the game. We could argue all we want about his stubbornness in playing who people perceive as his favourites, Rashford and Bruno. But it is the same Rashford that scored and assisted for the second goal against Porto and helped to have us 2-0 up. And then the same Rashford switches off and have people blowing past him on the wing when Porto is attacking. How can that be the fault of the manager? I really don't know. I don't think the manager is on the sidelines when we're 2-0 up yelling, "Yes, boys, rock back. We good. We win. Good. Yeah." I don't think he's doing that on the sidelines. And as we're talking about saving the job, the media has already fired him. Because in the game today, you're hearing the commentators, when the camera switches to Van Nistelrooy, talking about what an asset he would be as coach with the experience that he's bring, and he did such a great job at PSG. Mind you, the man was barely there for what, 2 years? So Ten Hag's coaching resume dwarfs his, but we're talking about what a great job he did. I have full respect for Ruud. I love Ruud. Ruud brought great memories to Manchester United and my fanhood, but when you start to talk like that, it's like you already fired the man, and they're trying to put that in everybody's head that the heir apparent is there. I think we need to stop this, man. This fan base need to have some patience.
Mhm. Well, unfortunately, in this day and age, patience is a very, 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 I guess, precious commodity right now, because most fan bases don't have patience. Just
Can I
yeah.
can I put forward a hypothesis?
Mm.
And you gentlemen, let me know what you think about this. Is it possible, gents, that Ten Hag has overperformed in his first season, and that is the reason for people's view that we won a trophy, a League Cup, and we came third.
Mm.
And people felt, well, okay, we're going to push on from here. If he had won a League Cup and came eighth, clearly because he won a trophy, nobody would have been saying fire him, right? He would have been like, okay, second season.
Mm.
Second season, we win a FA Cup, which is definitely more prized than a League Cup. So you win a
Beating
bigger
a
trophy,
better opponent.
right? Beating the supposedly the best team on the planet at the time, right? He win the FA Cup, and he, because of that, qualified for Europe, right? So the first season he finished eighth, but he win a trophy. Second season, he win a FA Cup, and he get qualified for Europe. Do you think the mindset would have been the exact same amongst the fan base, or do you think that the fan base views the second season not as bright because the first season we finished third, the first season with Ten Hag we finished third?
Mm.
So as far as the fan base is concerned, you go from third to eighth, that is a step down.
Yeah.
And therefore, we have less patience as a fan base because of that? Or do you think, regardless of what happened, we would have been where we are today?
No, the example is there because when Jose Mourinho finished second with this club in his second season, he said it was his greatest achievement as a manager in England because of the quality of players he had.
And I agree with him in
The depth
hindsight.
or lack of depth thereof on the bench, the structure that was around him, and I actually have it pulled up on my computer screen right now. And the structure for Mourinho was underneath the Glazers. There was Ed Woodward, who we all know how we feel about him. Then underneath Ed Woodward was Richard Arnold, and then under him was Mourinho, and Mourinho was actually slightly above John Murtough at that point in time in the corporate structure of the club, right? And with that structure, where he knew he could depend on nobody above him or parallel to him to make football-centric, intelligent decisions, the man calls finishing second his greatest achievement. And like Chad said, I can't disagree with him. And as you see, after that, when the results didn't measure up to that, he was very quickly out the door. So I think it's the same thing that's happening now. When Ten Hag came in his first season, the structure was not much better than what Jose had. In fact, we could argue that it had gotten worse under Richard Arnold and John Murtough. So now that there's a better structure, let's see what will happen. But Chad, I think you're absolutely right. He set himself up, right? And he was in a no-win situation. If he did not do as well as he did, he might not have even seen a third season, right? Doing as well as he did set himself up for all the criticism. So right now, if you want the absolute definition of a no-win job on the market, it's Manchester United manager. Damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Very, very
True,
true.
true.
I want to give a little. I'm gonna go to the chats here. Graham McPherson says Ten Hag out and Bruno demoted. We can get back to that.
Oh, we
And
need to get back to that.
yeah, and then Martin Phillip. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Martin Phillip. Always, always, always on this show. Always on this show. To your hypothesis, I would say this. I think it is a combination of a lot of things. I think, yes, it was the fact that we finished third and won a cup. Um, it was a combination of also the signings because fans now are very different. People could say maybe it's old age, maybe we just old, I don't know. But people now are more fans of players than clubs. So people have their favorites. So when their favorites come, be it Sancho, be it Casemiro, be it Ronaldo, be it whoever, when things happen to these players, they say, well, manager's fault. So the manager is crap, so he had to be out. I think it's a combination of that. It's a combination of children who have very, 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 very thin skin and can't take talk because my friend does support Liverpool and we playing like crap. And he come teasing me and I crying when I tell them people grow some nuts, right? Grow some nuts. I mean, I dare you to grow up in the 90s with us. When I'm sorry. I just find there's a lot of softness going around. I think also, again, I will come back to the world how the world is now. We have a very instant gratification world now. Instagram, X, YouTube, everything now is all about now. And I think, you know, football is not people, So I would say personally, I think Ten Hag has honestly lost the plot. I do. But I would say this getting rid of Ten Hag will not solve our problem. So I agree with that. It doesn't matter who we bring in, we can bring in Van Nistelrooy, we can bring in Pep, we can bring in anybody. The club itself has real problems. And until they don't solve those problems, the pitch will never get better. They have a lot of because bringing in Barata and bringing in these guys are good, but again, they have not been there long enough. I am still on of the opinion that we give them until December, or even until next year. Give them a year to be in the structure, because to be fair, Barata is now the CEO. He was never that before. So now he's here. We have a lot of guys who are in positions now who they themselves, they have now come in. So, but I know it's hard for people to have patience. I know. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you, it's very hard. But I do agree that second Ten Hag would not solve our issues. I am also of the opinion that I think Ten Hag needs to fix something, or else he will find himself in a lot of problems. A lot of problems.
It comes down to the whole fixing something, right? You had to look at, all right, what are the things that fans are railing against the most? And we're not going to go into style of play and them kind of things here, because all of that is subjective. And we as fans need to remember that there really and truly isn't any football team in the Premier League. I'm not talking La Liga or anywhere else. In the Premier League, there really isn't a football team that is following the same style of play now in 2024 as they did 10 years ago or 15 years ago. The game has changed, right? You will find that they may have bought in, like City, into getting the same type of players and the same, how should I put it, general skill sets. Because you want, if you possibly have a A, B, and C team, as City have enough players to do, Chelsea have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then some with their own squad. You want interchangeable parts, right? So you want, if somebody from the A side goes down, you have a like for like to bring in, and you keep your machinery rolling. Great. So taking that out of it, he's being knocked, as we said, for favoritism. So you gotta decide here, what fellas, this favoritism you do, and if you do shit, you hit in the bench, right? And if you want to sulk on the bench like Sancho for months and draw your money, well, here what? I can't fire you, but it will be up to the people above me to decide if it would continue in paying your salary. And if they ask me for a recommendation, I go tell them, boss, you through. It's simple as that, right? Do we have young fellas coming through? We do. We do have some very positive signs in the youth. If you watch some of the results for the under 21s and the under 23s and the under 18s recently, they've been beating people and beating them badly. And he has already incorporated some of these guys in and around the senior team. Some of them are on the B list for the Europa League this year because they qualify for that based on how long they've been at the club, age, all of these things, right? So start making those tough decisions, partner. It's simple as that. Reward positive play, and those who can't measure up and they are being given chances and they are failing, they have to take the demotion. Right? Other than that, what else are you going to fault him over? Because you can't anymore fault him for transfers. Because if I look at the structure right now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 men above him on the corporate structure with Sir Jim at the top of that. So if a transfer is working out, it can't be him to blame and him alone. Right? Because there are people who would have identified, according to what Ineos is saying, they set up a structure, they set up a recruitment structure. People are going to identify persons and then they are going to come to the manager and give him the options and say, hey, this is who you could get. Right? So if they're doing all that, then and you bring something to the manager and he say, okay, between A and B, I go choose A. If A didn't work out, you could always say why he didn't choose B. Or you don't know if B would have worked out either. Right? So that blame had to share around 7 people. If he gets to the point where he says, here's what, guys, case in point, I was grumbling when I saw Ericsson starting in the midfield today. But we never looked like we got totally overrun in the middle of the park. Yeah, might have been few moments in and out here and there. But how you would have been afraid that, oh God, boy, they would just keep running through me like if Ericsson and me not even there. It didn't really happen. So he's clearly having a good little patch and he's being rewarded with consistent game time. Likewise, as was Ahmad at the start of the season. I think, boy, there was some stat where earlier on in the season, they say he's now started more games than he had started in all his previous years at Manchester United. And this, I think, was just about 3 or 4 games starting in a row, right? So, do that. Do that. See how people respond to that. And the ones who want to sit and sulk, well, you know who we are to get rid of. And the ones who rise up, like a certain man with a header in the last minute to draw the game. I'll give you your flowers, Harry M. Right? All of Trinidad and Tobago Soca scene could keep the double M. We have Harry M. Right? So I'll give you your flowers. You get a chance, and you're making use of your chance. Therefore, you had to start today. And so we.
You know, people make those arguments. The fan base makes those arguments. I want to touch on something you didn't touch on, but let me just respond. It's very easy to make counter arguments for all of those things. Yes, Ten Hag showed favoritism, and the player I think we all would agree showed most favoritism too was Anthony. Right? People felt he had Anthony on a long run. But where's Anthony now? I don't think he was showing favoritism to Rashford. I think Ten Hag recognized Rashford as an important part of this team, and he was playing Rashford until Rashford started to get confidence. And now we're seeing the benefit of Rashford's confidence, and everybody is like, well, yeah, right? That is our good management in my mind. That is not favorites. Bruno Fernandes, as much as I would love to see Ericsson get a start in the middle, Ericsson cannot replace Bruno Fernandes. We cannot run Ericsson 3 games a week. We cannot. Right? So there is no presently with anybody available. Mason Mount hasn't shown it. He hasn't deserved to replace anybody on the pitch, not even the ball boy. You know, and he consistently injured. So it just can't replace Bruno Fernandes. Do I think, deserve a little stint on the bench? Yeah, but saying that is one thing. Okay, we play him on the bench and we going and play, right? We're going to send Rule back out, change the status, play more than a player coach. You understand what I'm saying? So,
just a quick add to that. Who you putting the armband on if you do that?
Well, it have people you could have Casemiro, it have Rashford, it have players you could put the armband. But, and also, exactly, we have a permanent, right, backup as captain, right? So, the favoritism thing, no. The other thing, so there are fans that talk about that still, but I don't really think that is still an issue. The other thing fans talk about is, what was the other point you raised, Zaire? Transfers. And let us be real. We need to give certain people time. We need to give Ugarte time. We need to give Xerxes time. We all remember when he first came, he was spoiled for a while and then he went on a run. People need time to adjust to the Premier League. being down on the manager's throat for transfers is unfair because we haven't had any flops under Ten Hag. And I think every manager is entitled to a flop. He met Sancho here, right? We haven't had any flops. Martinez has not been having the greatest of seasons, but we're not going to put that on Ten Hag. Clearly, whether it's too much football, whether the injury, he hasn't been the same since coming back from the injury. That is not on Ten Hag. So, we could argue those points. I think what is really affecting the fan base is we are getting caught up on the media Kool-Aid. We are getting caught up on the agendas in the media because here what the pundits would be saying. Oh, this is Manchester United, right? Being in the bottom half of the table, not good enough. Oh, this is Manchester United, finishing outside of the top 6 last season, not good enough. Needing a transfer to qualify for Europe, not good enough. They will always say what? Not good enough. They ain't gonna say how great it is that a team that played against the best team in the world at the point in time win a FA Cup, win a trophy they wasn't supposed to win. They will never give us kudos. They will never give the manager kudos, right? They always talk about what not good enough. And as fans that know the culture of winning, it's very easy to say, yeah, boy, this Manchester United is not good enough. But where were these managers when Arteta was finishing 8th? Where were these commentators, not managers, these commentators, when Klopp was having up and down seasons, and even if he was finishing second or finishing in the top 4, was not winning anything season after season? Where these people, when other people that they lift up and they exalt have bad runs? Where are they? These guys just get a pass. Why Manchester United managers don't get a pass? Right? Nobody don't say, well, oh, is City when City was running behind Arsenal a couple seasons ago, right? At one point, 10 points behind Arsenal. Right? Is after they win the league twice in a row. Twice in a row, win the league. Ting, supposedly the best team in terms of players, the best team in the league. They were behind. No, eventually we knew what happened. But at any point in that season, you already ever heard a commentator or an analyst say, boy, want to Pep, like he lose it. 10 points behind Arteta. Oh, City, we don't expect that from City. We don't expect that from Pep. No. And nobody wasn't, when City eventually won the league, it was not the greatness of Pep, no. It was the expectation that Arsenal was going to do Arsenal things. Right? Nobody wasn't like, boy, Pep lucky, oh, Pep this, Pep. No. But as soon as Manchester United starts having some bad results, the media gets on Manchester case, and fickle Manchester United fans start drinking the media Kool-Aid. Right? They start drinking the media Kool-Aid. Oh, well, look, we are Manchester United. We are Manchester United, but we are not the Manchester United of the glory days. Let me ask a question. All right? I'm going to call some players. Tell me if this is what you consider United's best 11 presently. Right? Onana in goal.
Yeah.
Delo.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Martinez.
Mm-hmm.
Dillit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dezuari.
Yeah.
Manu.
Right.
Yes.
Casimiro.
Yeah.
You all disagree and you have another name you could say.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Bruno
even yeah.
Bruno
yeah.
Fernandes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hoyland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rashford and Garnacho on one side. So that's 2, and then 2 options on one side, and Amar on the next side, right?
Correct.
So that is 12 players, not 11. 12 players. Who would you consider the top 4 teams in the Premier League right now? Arsenal,
Mm-hmm.
City.
Liverpool,
Yeah.
City, and right now we could even count who we are playing next.
Nobody.
I will put Chelsea, who Aston Villa, Brentford, definitely not Spurs.
You'd probably have to look at either Chelsea or Villa,
It's a
I will say
combination of teams.
in terms of performances, in terms of position placement in the last 2 seasons, Villa, right? So
Villa.
that's your top 4 teams.
Mhm.
Let me run through the team again. Manchester United, Onana is our starter. Onana replacing any of the goalkeepers for them 4 teams.
No.
No,
Onana starting for City. He starting
no,
for Arsenal. He
no.
starting for Villa. He
No.
starting for Liverpool.
Not
No.
even over who they have now.
Okay, good. So Onana ain't starting. The low starting for any one of them in that position.
Maybe Aston Villa.
Maybe.
Good. He's our upgrade on an Aston Villa team, but he's not our upgrade in none of the others, right?
Yep.
Martinez in present form, not last season. Martinez in present form. He's starting for any of them 4 teams.
No, not one. No.
Millet starting for any of them 4 teams. I think he could start for maybe 1 or 2.
Possibly
No.
Villa, possibly Liverpool. Because
But
you cannot
he
compare him
ain't
to
getting Arsenal.
Kante and
He ain't
Konza.
getting Arsenal. He ain't getting City,
Not
right?
Arsenal, not City.
Right. Mazwari, he's starting for any of them 4 teams.
Maybe again, possibly Villa. Because it's him and Matt Cash.
All right. Menu. I could see Menu starting for at least 2, maybe even 3 of them teams.
Villa
I'm
and
sure if Pep had Menu right now and this guy was injured as years, he would have been considered in the City midfield.
actually Kobe could have a good shout for all 4.
Right? Casemiro, he's starting in any of them 4 teams.
No.
Not on current form.
No.
Okay.
Not current
Bruno
Casemiro.
Fernandes, he's starting in any of them 4 teams.
No.
No.
I don't even need to continue. You all get my point.
Yeah. Mhm.
As a fan base, we need to be real with ourselves. Oh, we need to be in the top 4. Oh, you're like, oh, what kind of stuff? Here are these analysts lying to us, putting an agenda, and they know. If you ask them that question, how much United players starting in those 4 teams
Mhm.
that we just called, City, Liverpool, Arsenal, and Aston Villa, if any analysts who running them out on Ten Hag tell you more than 4 of our players starting in them team, they lie.
And
And
then,
they wouldn't even say it.
and then
They
the
wouldn't even
last
say
thing.
it. You just hear them say it. They just talk out the 2 sides of their mouth. Oh,
Right.
Ten Hag not good. And then the next side they say, well, who in this Manchester United team starting for City? Same
Right.
man, you know.
Mhm.
Same man saying that. So
If
it's like,
you-
as fans, we need to rock back and start asking ourselves,
Right. But then if you use that
is
same
our
thing,
team really that good?
right? So then,
Our players are the level to be regularly making top 4.
Right.
Are
So
we
then-
really giving Ten Hag a raw deal?
and then if you use that same thing and you ask about our coach, Ten Hag, does Ten Hag get in above Emery? No. Above Liverpool's coach right now? No.
Easy
Above
question.
Arteta?
If Ten Hag was on the market when Jurgen Klopp left, would Liverpool have gone for him?
No.
Already guided up.
No.
Same Dutch league,
Yeah.
same basic foundational background, same type of career success. If they had a choice between Eric Ten Hag and Arne Slot, would they have taken Eric Ten Hag?
No. No.
Right? So we need to be realistic and say, you know what? Yes, the football is inconsistent.
Mhm.
Yes, things have been a little shaky, but is our expectation that we should finish top 4? Is our expectation that we should be playing in Champions League regularly practical at this particular juncture where the club is, with the players, even with the shop? And the answer to that, if we're honest,
No.
is no, it's not.
All right.
I ain't saying we deserve to be 14th,
No.
but I think we need to be a little more, we need to stop taking shade up from media pundits with an anti-United bias.
All right. Let me go through some of these comments here. Martin Phillip is saying that we are too big of a club, to be playing smart with foolishness. There must be a change on top. I can understand that.
We are too big of a club. It seems something like
Yes.
an analyst say.
Exactly.
That's the argument. You be too big of a club. Not about players, but we too big of a
Too
club.
big of a club. Good afternoon to Courtney. Kevin Akim, good afternoon. He says our biggest mistake he is making is benching Ahmad. It all depends to me on the game. You have to take every game into consideration. Now I do agree. You know, having Ahmad not
The reality is somebody had a bench.
yeah.
The Nacho, Rashford, and Ahmad all and on present form deserve to be in the team.
Mm,
But any game, we're only going to get two out of the three.
yeah.
And anybody that bench, you
Mm,
could argue that they should not get benched. Right? So we just had to accept that reality.
you know, Martin Philip has a question for Zahir. I can remember asking on this show when Ole was in charge for the team to play some of the academy players. All I heard was excuses. Now, you see, I would say this at the time. To me, I find bringing in those players made no sense. Today,
And
it's a whole different thing.
I would also say many of who were considered the leading academy players under Ole
Hmm.
have been shipped out of the club.
Yes.
They're no
Oh,
longer here.
you look at Menu, you look at Amas.
Well, no,
I,
no, no.
I actually think we
I don't
failed.
think they weren't the ones at the forefront when Ole was in charge.
No, I know. But what I'm saying is,
The Hannibals, the Zidane, Iqbals,
Yeah.
those guys, right?
Mm,
They got very sporadic opportunities, but
yeah.
they quickly decided that they weren't good enough and they moved all of them on.
Hmm. Exactly.
Angel Gomez, these guys.
Yeah. Didn't work out. Because I even saw Angel Gomez was playing for England the other day, and there was ESPN saying how it was such a shame that we sold Angel and we should go and bring him back off of one game. You know?
Because his passport is British.
Yeah.
Well,
Of story.
I'm gonna leave you all on the phone about to die.
All right.
But I was out all morning. I just rushed back in to be on the show and I ain't have enough power.
Mm-hmm.
So I am out. I will plug him in and be in the comments.
All right.
All right, Chad.
Yeah. Right. Courtney. Courtney is saying the year when Chelsea was having a bad run of form, they didn't get the same amount of stick.
Facts.
Mm-hmm. Siraj is saying very, very poor game, no fluency. I can understand
We can say that. We can say that.
that.
But we should say that it applies to both teams.
Yes, because I think Aston Villa today, I think they got I think this was again a hangover from Champions League. I think that game against Bayern Munich, it really did burn them out. So for them to come back, I think now they are feeling the effects of what it takes to really fight on different fronts.
I really like fans if they make a comment like Ten Hag is clueless, as Siraj is making. With all due respect, that's his opinion and he's entitled to it. But I would like to hear from him if he's listening. What would he consider Ten Hag getting it right?
Yeah.
Like it have to be a situation where you're winning every game, you're beating everybody 3-0 and 4-0, and that means you're getting it right. Is it going to be an argument based on style of play or consistency, fluency, as he alluded to when he said the game had no fluency? Right? What do you consider in your mind him having a clue or getting it right?
And this comment here from Kevin saying none of those players getting in the top four sides is still no excuse. They could get it on. They could. I do understand this comment, but at the same time, I think we are back to the realistic, where we are right now.
It's mentality. So Kevin, it comes down to mentality, and if you want a perfect example of that, go right back to the Spurs game. Where we are down, our captain and by extension, perhaps the de facto leader and most influential player on the pitch gets a red card and is sent off. And after that, you trying to tell me nobody else could step up? Nobody else could pull the team together and say, gentlemen, here's what's going on, right? The captain just got sent off, but we are not going to concede again and we're going to fight this game, right? We're going to pull together. We are Manchester United. Listen, everybody has to step up and lead by example. Nobody on that field could have done that. That we just totally fell to pieces and conceded again, and could have conceded more had it not been for the absolute waste of space that is Mr. Herr Werner, right? Had it not been for him there, boy, I shudder to think it would have been a hurricane getting those chances. Really and truly.
Yeah, it would have been like
His scoreline could have looked like 6 or 7-0 at the end of the game. Easily.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Why? How can you capitulate like that if one player is sent off? That is unacceptable. And that to me is all down to the fragile mentality of people who should know better, are more experienced, and they didn't just drop on that field yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Right? To a man, all of them have been playing high-level football, in some cases, for 10, 12 years.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Better than that. Really better than that.
Yeah, definitely. Kevin says Garnacho and Rashford are the same type of players. They don't give you the back security and creativity like Ahmad. Transpiration is much less than Ahmad when he is not on the pitch. Yes, but I think also you have to be able to use your squad. That's why you have a squad for. And if your squad can't play, you need to be able to rely on many players. You have to. You have to.
Right? Style of play and type of squad will only take it that far. We all remember what Jose Mourinho was when he first arrived in the Premier League at Chelsea. Right? The style of play that Mourinho brought to the team. Right? I mean, there was specials. I can't remember what the name of the documentary was. But you're looking at it and the team talk before a particular game, big game, basically was, we cannot lose this game. Right? The man is telling them they had to win, It's just they cannot lose the game. So he was prepared to grind out the 1-0s, take the 0-0s, whatever he needed to do. That pragmatic approach to football. It is very instrumental that he is still trying to use that style of football, has not adapted, and it has not brought him any success since he left England and came back. Right? He's gone to Italy, where you would think that type of football would bring success. He win a Conference League with Roma.
Yeah, correct.
Right? So, I mean, yes, it adds a trophy to his collection, but they were nowhere near challenging for the Italian Scudetto. And they were nowhere near of getting into the Champions League.
No.
Right? So, things have to change. It must change. If you have the luxury of City's ownership's blank checkbooks, bank accounts, and extensive legal team to keep fighting off your 115 alleged charges,
Correct.
that you could keep doing what you want, transfer window in, transfer window out. And somehow Todd Bowley has seemed to figure out how to do it too, because they will buy somebody and then the next thing you know, yeah, they're selling them for 2 and 3 times what they paid for them. Right? Until you have that, you have to adapt. You have to change. Because you can't financially sustain that without the leeway those teams are being given. At a point in time, way back in the day, when football was not being run by the type of astronomical sums it is now, a certain Dwight Eversley York was our record signing at 12 million British pounds. 12 million pounds. That was what our record signing is now. What's the difference between that and what we paid for he whose name shall not be mentioned but wore the number 6 and is now our record signing on paper? right? Look at the Gulf, right? And we can't sustain that because when we buy these players, there's really no sell-on value. We're not getting anything out of them. The structure was so poor that you put them on the type of salaries where nobody's going to pay it to them when they leave. So when Harry Maguire sat down and said, well, pay me off my contract if you really want me to go West Ham, or else I go in and sit down here. You can't blame the man because the man has a contract. If you want me to go, buy out my contract. We're not in a position to do that. So he sat down there. Sancho sat down there. The he who shall not be named sat down there. Right? Everybody, Varane sat down there, ran down his contract. Martial, all of these guys who are all getting north of 190 to 200,000 pounds a week are just sitting there eating our food and getting away with it. Hopefully that's no longer going to be the case because this recent window here showed some nice signs in terms of how they plan to go with negotiations going forward. They played hardball and they didn't give in to PSG for Ugarte. One, right? The old regime would have given him and paid them whatever they asked for Ugarte at the start of the season, right? The deal with Zirkzee is a nice one because there was a buyout clause, which you would have to come up with all the money up front. But we offered them about $5 million more than the buyout clause for the opportunity to pay it in installments. This is the type of negotiating savvy that the previous regime didn't have, right? Where you were basically having Ten Hag telling people, this is what I want this, I don't care, buy it. Hence the money that was paid for Anthony, right? Under this current regime, there's no way we were paying 80-something million for Anthony, or 80-something million for Maguire, or 70-something million for Sancho. It just wasn't going to happen. So this will go a long way to changing the financial structure of the club, right? The salary structure of the club. And that will, I think, help us in what we have power over going forward. What we pay for players, what we are able to sell players for, right? A case in point is Bruno. Bruno just signed a new contract. I can't see them realistically extending it at the end because of the age he's going to be and his resale ability at that point in time. Likewise, Casemiro, you have to get rid of him now as in this near future, to have any sort of money coming in, right? So this is where we are. We are not on the financial level of City, of Chelsea. We're not on the stability level of a Liverpool because they barely had to sign anybody because the team was just ready to go. So you went to get a manager that you could plug and play with into the team. And right now they were on top of the Premier League, I believe. I didn't check the table after today's games, right? But they were there as before the start of play today. So we know what we have to do, Robert. The fans know what we have to do. But we have grown so tired of being the whipping boys. And so tired of having everybody diss us. Even when we beat our side 7-0, you had to hear, well, it's just Barnsley boys, a low division team. But if we had only beaten them 1-0, and to get that 1-0, we had to bring everybody off the bench. Game way.
Yes, you'd have heard everything. Yeah.
No matter what you do, you can't win. And I will always go back to this. All of the pundits, bar none, all of those who right now working in punditry and commentary, look at their ages and look at the eras they came from. They all came from the era where we was cutting everybody backside, so all of them sorted.
Yes.
Especially ones who played for clubs. Jamie Carragher. Who couldn't beat me when it mattered.
No.
Right? So they harbor this. They have a deep-seated desire to see us crumble.
Yes.
They will never be happy until we crumble. Sadly, the ones who were part of our success seem to think, and this is just my opinion, that gives them the right to have more than they have with the club. I don't know if they all felt they should have been made honorary ambassadors or external directors or have a stand named after them, or a section in the stands. I don't know. But it seems like some of them have forgotten that they were part of the successful history of the club, or they want to think that because they were able to do this then in a certain way, it should just transpose
No.
10 and 15 years later. It cannot.
No.
It simply cannot.
No. So I wanna go through this. What did he say? Oh, I think this is the same comment. Well,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, he
No,
sort of edited it up a bit, right?
yeah, he did. Martin Phillip is saying football is a results game.
Agreed.
And are you happy with the performance week in, week out?
But what do you consider a positive result? Only a victory? Because you could get a victory in the nastiest, dirtiest, scrappiest own goal in the last second of play,
Yeah.
but have played shit for 90 plus minutes.
Yes.
Then you can't be satisfied with your performance.
No.
Right?
No.
So if you're telling me you want to see performance building, Martin, I will take that gladly. However, we've just played 2 games after the Spurs loss. Neither game was as horrible as the performance against Spurs. We eased up and threw away what could have been a victory against Porto. But today we went up against a very confident, very fit team, right? And we held our own. Whether it was whatever by whatever, at the end of the day, the scoreline is 0-0 and a point each. Right? They would probably go away saying they dropped 2 points. We might have to just take the bullet and say, well, we get one when we may not have gotten it.
And I think like coming down to the end of the game, I think both sides were just content.
Yeah.
Arsenal was content to the point. Like you could just tell, like the last 5 minutes, they were like, you know what, let's just defend and just take a point and leave.
We actually had the best chance to win it later on.
Yeah.
I would say here's what. That's 2 games where we did not lose. Today we did not concede. Right? Let us see what the next couple of games bring.
Exactly.
If we manage to go on a run with this in terms of, yes, we build in from this, so we are keeping that defensive solidity, right? We made 4 changes to the starting lineup today. Went in with a defensive pair that's not just starting 2 or designated CB1 and CB2, right? And when Harry was injured, you didn't bring on one of those that was supposed to be a CB1 and CB2. You brought in your CB4, right? And we still managed to have a shutout. So I'll find the positives like that. Do I want to see goals being scored? Yes. Do I want to see the front 3 or 4, as the case may be, really starting to dominate play so that the back 5 doesn't have as much to deal with? Of course.
Yeah.
But I could wait a little bit.
And Courtney is saying Anthony, for as much as he has flopped, he is also suffering from the price tag.
Very valid point, and sadly, it is not anything that he had control over.
Because
again, he literally went on strike.
Yeah.
To come to us. It was our poor negotiating and poor structure that made us have to go pay them what they asked for down at the end of the season. Had we gone for him as a priority, he would have been there for half the price.
Yeah, it would have been for 40 million, and people would have said, okay, 40 mil, okay. But 80 mil, but yet, to Chad's point, players like Modric, who came for 80 mil, Caicedo, 100 mil, there is no criticism. Where is the consistency? There's so many other players who have gone for big money. Let's all be real. The so-called greatest player in the world, as a Frenchman, who went to Real Madrid, who right now is the reason why Real Madrid can't win games. Yet no one is saying that he's a flop. No one.
They'll never say that.
No.
And the certain other greatest player in the world went to PSG and couldn't win them a Champions League.
The man only scored 6 goals in a year. Where was the
It was
bias?
considered a flop, right?
Nope. No, 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 no. No, at all. So, I mean, yes, I do believe that we are, as a team, we are suffering from the post-Fergie era. We are. But see, for us, it was success. For other teams, it was years, it was 20 plus years of nightmares. Nightmares.
30 if your name is Liverpool.
You know? So, yeah, so I mean, but I think for me, it is a combination of the two. I think yes, Ten Hag has his faults, but but to me, firing Ten Hag and not fixing the structure, which we have begun to do, not fixing the players, because like you said, we don't have Man City's budget. We don't, right? We don't have that. We can't afford to go and buy a keeper this year, and then next year go and buy our next one
Yeah,
because
you throw away that toy and buy a new toy.
no, 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 no. You understand? We don't have that. We don't have that. Um, Shabaka Buru is saying, I believe, thank you, Ten Hag, please show fees. But he is saying it is over for him. That is what he believes.
But
He
like
believes.
I say, I will respect everybody's right and opinion. I just
Mm,
hope at the end of the day that their opinions would be proven wrong by how things go forward with him.
mhm,
If I'll be honest with you, Robert, if we come to the end of this season and we finish anywhere near or under eighth in the Premier League, God forbid,
mhm,
right,
mhm.
without a trophy,
Right.
then you might very well hear me saying, "Well, yeah, what partner?
Mhm.
You're not improving."
All right.
Right? Especially if come the January transfer window, they hopefully address the need for cover at left back,
All right.
right? And maybe get rid of some other things we wanted to get rid of, right?
Mhm.
Let's see how they handle things. And if with that you can't find a way to rotate your squad properly and get the best out of them, well, if you've made improvements in all the areas you wanted to, but finish on the same position on the table, that's major cause for concern.
Mhm.
That
Correct.
is major cause for concern. I will be very honest that this is only October, but I can tell you very, very confidently, I do not expect us to challenge for the Premier League title.
Oh, no, no, no.
No way, no hell. I think we would have to pull off a miracle to even get in the top
Mhm.
four.
I think I know the owner came out and said that he wants to win it
In
by
3 years.
next in 3 years. To me, I mean, it's gutsy. It is a lot. I guess they have a plan.
They have a plan and they must be looking at, okay, if we just take that for 1 second and run with it, right? If
Mm,
you're saying in 3 years, which is the 2027 season,
right.
you looking to be, or 27, 28, you
Mm,
looking to be the champion of England.
right.
It stands to reason that certain names on this current squad cannot be there
No,
in that time, age
no.
wise, form
Mm,
wise,
mm,
financial sense wise.
right.
So you must have a plan of who you're bringing through or who
Mm,
you're looking to bring into the club and how things are moving.
mm,
And you could only do that if you have an idea who your manager is going to be in that time. Because you can't be making all these plans and doing all this cogitating, but then you're going and bust the manager throat because our next manager mightn't buy in unless you have a standby list of option A, B, C, and D of managers who you think will be able to do what you see as your plan going forward. Then you must be at some level thinking if this guy gets it right, he's going to be the manager for that length of time. And if we give him everything we need to give him in that space of time, there's no reason why he shouldn't be able to do. So we gotta hold strain a little more. At the end of the day, we will never, God forbid, I hope never to be alive to see us to have to wait 30 years for a title. Or almost 20, as in the case of the Gunners,
mhm.
right? Or God forbid Tottenham, who ain't ever seen one. Right? So
Mm,
I hope we don't get to that point. I would
no.
love in my lifetime to see us get back to where we were.
Mhm.
Will we ever be as dominant? Hard to say, because the rest of the league caught up to us while we were sleeping and we get caught with our pants down.
Yes.
Really and truly we did.
Definitely.
Right?
And I mean, I do think if we were to transfer Ferguson from, say, take that 2008 team, right, which we would consider Ferguson's best team, right? Between 2008 and 99, some people would argue 2008 was his best team overall. But
So
his
the only
team,
knock on them was that we didn't win the treble.
right. But if you look at their starters and their bench, it was a stacked team. You know, if you took him and took that team, for them to today, are they guaranteed to win the league?
No,
Guaranteed.
they're guaranteed to compete.
Mm-hmm.
But up against what City has as a starting 11-man depth, against Arsenal's now established team and style, Liverpool settled team, and even Chelsea, when they managed to get it right,
Yes.
problems.
No, because and then
They win. But I can't put my head on a block and say they're gonna win.
And even if you take the rest of the league, right, the Villas, the Spurs, even Spurs now can't give them a run. You know, the Villas can't give them a run. Even if you take teams like Brighton, they may be able to catch them. You know, it has the West Hams if they show up. You know, there are so many teams who can't do something on any given day. You know, before we close, we'll take this one last comment from Martin Phillip. Zahir, if Ten Hag was the manager of West Indies team, would you be so forgiving?
Loving the question. Okay, so back to everything. If above him at CWI level, he had the changes in structure, which we've been dying for in West Indies cricket. Proper structure, proper changes in structure, right? We had players coming up who we could see we want to give an opportunity to. And if they had started getting rid of the players, and we could call plenty cricketers' name that we want to get rid of from the West Indies side, then I would be so forgiving. But if he didn't have, right? Well. Sorry. Then I would say the same thing I'm saying now. Give him the time, right? But as West Indies structure is right now, right? It's not much different in terms of what it's lacking and how far behind they've fallen in the terms of Australia and India and other powerhouses than Manchester United and the rest of the league. West Indies board sat back on their laurels, and thought that they would be able to run cricket forever based on natural talent and certain things, and the rest of the world passed them by. Right. And now, when they are at a point where it's almost different, we're not paying the ridiculous wages at West Indies level. We're not paying stupid money, right? So they're going outside to make the stupid money and their ridiculous wages. And we're going to hell with all you. We're going and make our money. Right? So if Ten Hag was manager of the West Indies team and he was dealing with that same type of bad structure, what you going to do? You're dead. Now you would say, hey, put things in place. And then we will see how things will be.
All right. Well, and on that note, I will say we have come to the end of the show. Zahir, thank you very much for coming through.
Always a pleasure, my brother.
President Shah, thanks for coming through. And as usual, thank you for everyone in the comments. You know, Tisha Barker, Courtney, Martin Phillip, Kevin, everyone in the comments. And we always say, like the show, subscribe to the channel, share the content, share the videos around, you know, and we will be back to another show. Hopefully, I think, well, we are right now on international break. So, you know, we will definitely be having our next show very, very soon. Look out for it. Look out for the competition for that Garnacho shirts. You know, details coming soon. And as President Shad always says, Red Devils, we don't die.
We multiply.
Hey, if you appreciate what we're doing here at the United Hour, please like, please subscribe, and let's grow this community.